Good evening. We will call this special City Council meeting for February 20th at 6 p.m. to order. We'll start tonight with our land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge the federally recognized Muckleshoot Indian Tribe, the ancestral keepers of the land where we are gathered on today. We thank them for their immense contribution to our state and local history, culture, economy, and identity as Washingtonians. I had a pop-up on my screen that was covering everything. So that concludes the land acknowledgement. Under public participation, the Auburn City Council meeting scheduled for Tuesday, February 20th, 2024 at 6 p.m. will be held in person and virtually. The virtual link is listed on the agenda and with telephone numbers for access, toll-free, and Zoom. Next, we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you're able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we have roll call, please?
Deputy Mayor Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Amir. Councilmember Baldwin.
Here.
Councilmember Rakes.
Here.
Councilmember Clinton Taylor.
Here.
Councilmember Tracy Taylor.
Here.
Councilmember Troutman Well.
Here.
Thank you, Hannah. So tonight we have two discussion items. The first one is a human resources report by Director Martinson, and I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Council. Candace Martinson, Director of Human Resources and Risk Management for the City of Auburn. And it's my pleasure today to present to the Council and the Deputy Mayor all of the roles and responsibilities that our HR and Human Resources and Risk Management Department serves for the City of Auburn. I do have two guests with me this evening. I am not going to put them on the spot to sit up here and speak with me, but I have our Human Resources Manager, Melissa Medish, who's here, and our Assistant Director of Human Resources and Risk Management, Erin Barber. So we're here to answer any questions you have about any of the materials that I provided tonight. So as you're aware, probably some of the newer council members, for your orientation and all of the swag that we gave you, that we refer to our employees as Team Auburn. And Team Auburn is made up of almost 500 full-time employees. We have about 200 temps, seasonals, and volunteers. The average tenure for our full-time employees is a little over 8 years, and we have 34% of our staff that have 10 plus years of service. So our department is small but mighty, and I'm going to zoom out here really quick. So we have 9 staff that make up the Human Resources and Risk Management Department. So I get to work with Erin and Melissa and their teams. I also have administrative assistant who supports me in a lot of my roles and responsibilities, as well as provides a lot of court support for us. So we have 3 analysts, and we've divided up those analysts into functional areas. And primarily, Terry Mendoza, who is our Chief Civil Service Examiner, has been primarily focused on filling police officer vacancies and promotions within the department, as well as some of the non-uniform positions. So that's taken up a great deal of her time, but she does provide also some onboarding and support for benefits for the police department. Michelle Buffington is a new member to our team, and she has hit the ground running and provided a lot of support to our unaffiliated staff, which I'll show the makeup of our workforce demographics, but you'll be able to see that 50% of the city is what we refer to as unaffiliated or non-union. So she primarily supports that group as well as backs up Terry on supporting the police department. And then we were lucky enough to have a former HR staff member that left for a short time come back and rejoin the city, and that is Jo Willard. And she is providing HR analyst services for our Teamsters employees as well as our temps, seasonals, and volunteer. So that is Erin's team. Melissa's team, we have two coordinators that focus quite a bit on recruitment and onboarding. A big part of their role has been passively sourcing candidates. So we've had a lot of difficult to fill positions due to COVID and thereafter, as many organizations have. So this team has really stepped it up, and they have been able to do a lot of passive candidate sourcing and have some really impressive hiring statistics. And now we're able to pivot, and some of our goals for 2024 is building upon our robust onboarding program. So we're looking forward to that. So for the 50% of the city that are union organized, we have 5 collective bargaining agreements. So 4 of those are in our police department, and 1 of those are our Teamster employees, our maintenance staff. And 3 of those in the police department are interest arbitration, which means that if the city and the union are unable to reach an agreement, that a third party could reach a agreement that is binding for the city. And luckily, we haven't had to go to interest arbitration, but if we do, there is a process for that our staff are familiar with. So as part of managing the collective bargaining agreements, we work with all of the managers and department directors that are in these departments that oversee these staff to help draft and maintain and interpret those collective bargaining agreements. We also work quite closely with finance and payroll staff on how to interpret those into our payroll processes. We draft a lot of mid-contract agreements and memorandums of understanding, and also help coordinate labor management committees. And we also assist with management and the mayor in resolving grievances. We have mediations when required. So this is the makeup of the demographics of our workforce. So as you can see, we're split right here down the middle between our non-union staff and our union staff. So our unaffiliated makes up 50%, Teamsters 21, our commissioned police officers 22, our sergeants, the first line supervisor 3%, our commanders 1%, and then our non-commissioned unionized staff that work out of the police department at 3% of our workforce. So outside of labor relations, we do a lot of work with departments on employee relations, and so that involves our creation and updating of personnel policies. It also requires us to stay on top of all of the ever-changing leave law requirements. So as you're probably familiar with, we had the Paid Family Medical Leave Act that came as a new leave entitlement. And so we've been working with management and employees to make them aware of that leave benefit outside of traditional FMLA. We handle complaints of discrimination or misconduct or any other complaints of policy violations or otherwise. We work alongside with management and the mayor to address those complaints. The city offers flexible schedules, so some work groups work 410, some work what's called a 980 schedule, where you can get 1 day off every other week. And also we have our unaffiliated staff, several groups there offer telework hybrid schedule where they can work up to a maximum of 2 days a week from home. So we work with the departments in implementing those schedules. We also, when we conduct those investigations that I spoke of earlier, we also assist the department in determining the appropriate level of discipline.
Yes, Director, do you mind if folks ask questions during the presentation, or do you want to hold it?
Oh, I don't mind.
Councilmember Duval-Petrell.
I had that question. When did we start doing the 5 days, 1 day? What did you say? They work 1 week and have 1 day off?
Yeah, a 980 schedule. So traditional 980 schedule is you work 9 days, 9-hour days. And then you'll have like every other, either Friday or Monday off, depending upon what works for the operational needs of the work group.
Have we always had that, or is that something
That's
since
been in
COVID?
place since I've been here. I've been here for almost 6 years, so that predates me, but I don't know if, Aaron, if you know when that.
It was prior to 2012 when I started as well, so it's been.
Okay.
at least 12,
That's
14
weird. This is the first I've heard of it, so that's okay. I just wanted to know if it was something new. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Councilmember Kate Baldwin.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. On the last slide for the different collective bargaining agreements, if you could let us know, where are we in the cycle for each of those that we have? I guess maybe time until renewal for those.
Yes, thank you. So our contracts that are up this year for negotiation are all of the contracts that are in the police department. So those 4 contracts. And then our Teamsters are up in 2027.
Correct. Thank you.
I think 2025,
Is it 2025?
yeah, for Teamster.
2025.
I misspoke. 2025.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And then just to close out on employee relations, so sometimes employee relations issues aren't formal, and we provide consultation and mediation services between employees and management, and that's quite a bit of our workload as well, working with other departments. So just to look at some metrics related to employee relations, so in 2023, we had 41 investigations of complaints and personnel issues. We did 89 costing models, so analyzing people's pay or reclassifications or reorganization requests, and also calculating for new positions, new FTEs, what the cost of salaries and benefits would be for those positions. We managed 78 FMLA and paid family medical leave claims, and then 28 workers' compensation claims. So as I spoke about earlier, Terry Mendoza is our Civil Service Chief Examiner, and she's been very busy working on filling our officer vacancies. And it is a rather lengthy process, the steps that we have the officers go through. So they start out with public safety testing, doing written testing through them. And once we get their results, we notify them immediately and ask them to fill out a City of Auburn application if they have selected Auburn as one of the sites that they would like their application referred to. We also pay for them to add on Auburn, and a lot of our police officers assist with recruiting, so they go to the public safety testing events, and they actually recruit people prior to sitting down to take the test to add Auburn. And if we do that, then we cover the cost of them adding Auburn. We do panel interviews. We have experimented with what we call speed round interviews, but basically it's kind of a 15-minute informal meet and greet speed interview where we just get to know a little bit more about them, why they're interested in police work, why they're interested in the city of Auburn. So we use that quite a bit with our unaffiliated staff or temporary and seasonal staff, and we've definitely piloted that with police officers as well, just so we can see as many candidates as quickly as possible. Then we go through our personal history statement. So they complete a personal history statement through public safety testing, but we also have them complete our personal history statement as well. We have a thorough background investigation, so we've hired 2 investigators that work for the city as temporary employees or contract workers that go out and do on-site background investigations. So we're very thorough in that process to make sure that somebody is going to work out as a police officer for us. We have staff at the police department that are certified to conduct polygraphs, and we also have them go through fingerprinting there. And then finally, we have them go through a chief's interview. In addition to the background investigation, we have added some steps I'll talk about a little bit in some of our 2023 highlights, but we added a pre-psychological screening that's called a suitability assessment. And so we get some of that psychological testing done and out of the way first. So if we see any concerning behaviors or indicator that we can filter out candidates relatively soon in the process. And then that information then informs the psychologist for the final psychological screening that's done. It's a very thorough process. We have, like I said, sent recruiters from the police department to the public safety testing events. It's pretty common for agencies to do that, and we do that as well. We reimburse that fee, as I spoke to. We've done a virtual hiring seminar where we've recorded videos on tips and tricks to help candidates be successful in the oral board. If you've ever heard of an oral board interview, there's a lot of prep work that goes into that, and so we want to make sure that we're removing barriers from candidates to be successful in that process, so there's no tricks. We're just trying to help. And then we also work with the police department after a candidate has passed their oral board interview to immediately begin them on an electronic version of all of their background paperwork, so we're not having to deal with old school paper. This younger generation, I think, prefers to do everything electronically, so we've adjusted our process accordingly. And then the police department assigns an Auburn Police Department mentor that follows them along, and we've received great feedback about that process, so that's been a great partnership. And as well as our entry-level hiring, we also do promotional testing that is subject to the city's civil service rules. So this is our total hiring statistics, not just police. I wish we received 6,600 police applications, but this is our total 2023 hiring statistics. So 6,614 applications. We hired 63 full-time employees that were either, 63 full-time employees that were either separated or retired. We hired 118 full-time employees or promoted or reclassified those employees, and then 94 non-benefited employees hired. And so there are a lot of programs that we run primarily through the Parks Department that rely very heavily on this staffing, and so we're gearing up for that right now to get ready for all of our summer programming for them.
Yes, Councilmember Clinton Taylor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I apologize, Director. I was pondering this question if I was going to ask it, and then, so I think I will. On the previous slide, I just had a quick question about the psychological exam. Yeah. How often is that administered? Is that just during the screening process, or will those be administered at any other time after employment, like at a certain time period, like if you've been on a year, 2 years, or just a one time during their screening process?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So we do the pre-employment psychological testing primarily. It's been very rare where we've done mid-career psychological testing, and that would probably be reserved for probably an employer relations issue, or if a member was having an issue, but it would probably be pretty rare. I have only been a part of, I believe, 2 mid-career psychological testing, and it was after an officer-involved shooting, and there was a connection with our psychologist just to clear the individual back to duty.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Councilmember Kate Baldwin.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I was going to say on that slide for sort of the volume of applications that you guys are processing with already seeing the small team that you have, I think with 260 working days generally available in a year when we take out all of our weekends, in an 8-hour day that breaks out to about 3.2 applications being screened every hour, and so that's just a lot for a team to be reviewing and looking at and going through. And I know obviously we don't bring every person who applies into the city, but that's just, it's a lot to do. And so I just want to call out thank you to the people who are doing that work in the day-to-day, because it's, you know, it's what you do, but there's a lot of work to be done. So thank you.
Well, thank you for that comment. We have a great team, and we have a team that is led in our recruiting area by Melissa, and we have been very fortunate to be able to implement a lot of the modules through an applicant tracking software called NeoGov, which actually helps us on the recruiting side. So we have some recruitment modules through there. We've used a lot of social media recruiting. We've used a lot of LinkedIn. We've done some in-person and virtual recruitment events. And within that NeoGov system, we're pulling in a large candidate pool, and we're able to put some measures in place that does some minimum screening for us. It's not like keyword screening where maybe private sector does and might filter out some great candidates. It's more of minimum qualifications screening. And then what we're able to do is refer all of the candidates that meet minimum qualifications over to those hiring managers. So I will say it does take a village on all this screening, and we have a lot of really great support from all of our departments to help us with that from their subject matter expertise. But I will pass that along to our recruiters because they're always looking for kudos. So thank you. Okay, so when I came to the city, I was looking at the demographics of the Auburn workforce, and it's always a goal of an HR department to try and have a workforce that reflects the community that we serve. So what you'll see on this chart is that line that's reddish brown is the City of Auburn census. So that's the current, most recent census. And as you can see over time, starting in 2019 through 2023, we have been able to diversify our workforce quite a bit to more closely match the census of the City of Auburn. So I think that's something that we take a great deal of pride in. And I know when I came to the city, there were some reasons or maybe some hypothesis of why we didn't have a diverse applicant pool. And we really wanted to be able to track the metrics behind that and where we were losing candidates in our process. Was it that we weren't getting diverse applicant pools at all to apply? Did we need to change our strategy on how we were trying to reach different communities? And over time, through kind of trying to troubleshoot what the issue was, we found that we did have a fairly diverse candidate pool, but when we started sharing from 2019 the mayor and the council's commitment to our racial equity work and really advertising that on our job announcements, that we really saw a lot of people, an uptick in even more diverse candidates, foreseeing the city's commitment to that. And then in addition to that, we also found that in interviews that the hiring managers were hearing a lot that was why people were interested in coming to work for Auburn, was our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I think there's a lot of combinations of factors of why we've been able to accomplish this, but I will say it has been a team effort, and we're really proud of the diversity of our workforce and how that's changed. Okay, moving on, another area that we cover is benefits administration. So the city offers a very generous benefits package. We work with a broker that helps us manage a lot of these, and then we also have some plans that are offered through our partnership with the Association of Washington Cities. And as you may be aware in your personal life, there's been the long-term care tax, but the City of Auburn was offering long-term care policies prior to that being enacted, so our employees were covered there. So a lot of them were able to opt out from that additional tax because they were already covered, and a very important benefit, as well as all of these other benefits as well. And as I'm sure you're all familiar with, we're lucky enough in the City of Auburn to be government employees and have a pension, which is very difficult to find in private sector. So we offer a very generous benefits package, and it helps attract and makes it easy for us to attract new candidates to the City of Auburn. In addition to traditional benefits, we offer other opportunities to invest in our employees. So we have a dedicated wellness committee with representatives from all departments. They schedule a lot of great events citywide. I'm sure you all see that in your email, and I don't know if you can ever join us, but that would be great. And then all of our employees get membership at the Community and Events Center. So there's a workout room there, and there's also fitness classes. We offer a tuition reimbursement program that is competitive with other cities in the area, as well as a commute trip reduction program, or ORCA cards. And then a new benefit that was suggested by Melissa in some work that she had done and had went to a conference was a contract to assist our government employees with being able to go through the student loan forgiveness process. As government employees, when you reach a certain amount of tenure, you have a certain amount of student loan forgiveness. It can be a little bit of a complex problem, but we have a contract with a group that helps us navigate through that, so that's a great additional benefit. As I mentioned before, the hybrid telecommuting program, and then we've really increased our learning and development opportunities as well. So I'm going to go through pretty quickly because I don't want to run into IT's time, but I'm going to go through our 2023 achievements, and I think I'll probably focus on the ones, well, I'm proud of all of them, but I'm focused on the one that I'm really proud of. So as you're aware, we are a part of the Washington City's Insurance Authority, so an insurance risk pool, and they offer a lot of really great trainings that help us hopefully prevent risk through education. So we had city staff that completed 85 of those in 2023. After COVID, we realized that we needed a lot of CPR training citywide, especially for those summer camp programs and all of our field workers. So we conducted 13 first aid CPR AED courses in 2023. Also, we were having an uptick in vehicle accidents, so we decided to offer virtual, online, as well as in-person training for all of our drivers. The in-person training was done for our CDL employees, and the online training was done for all of our office staff employees that drive vehicles. We did in-person harassment training, so we did in-person for our union employees, and we did virtual for our office staff because typically our union employees are our field workers, and it's hard for them to sit down on a computer and complete that video-based training. One thing I'm very proud of is our leadership development program that we added for 2023. This was a huge time commitment from the mayor and all the department directors, but we took 100 of our people leaders through a 48-hour leadership training this last year through Nash Consulting, and I would say that I think the feedback that we got was this is the first time that a lot of employees could remember where we entered into this type of large-scale employee development, but I would say that it was a lot of good information, a lot of good feedback. We had a lot of surveys about from every member about areas where the city can keep developing and keep working on being great leaders and a great place to work. So we start in March, all of our other employees, so there's about 400 remaining employees that are going to go through an 8-hour course that's designed for like an individual contributor, not quite as robust as the leadership, but still has a lot of the foundational training of that. So we're going to start through that, and Melissa's been tasked with the scheduling challenges of that, but we've met with every department and we worked through all the operational issues, so looking forward to that starting as well. We've really focused on that efficient hiring process of automating all the steps for police candidates. That early risk assessment I told you about was that pre-psychological assessment.
We have a question here from Council Member Kate Baldwin.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Sorry, on the last slide, I just wanted to note that through the work in the Ready Coalition, one of our members had been a participant in that, I think it was 48-hour leadership training, and I think had just been to one of those sessions and had come into the coalition meeting and was really enthusiastic and extremely positive about how the experience had gone and how it had went. And so I just want to reiterate that I think as far as adoption of that program, you know, this person was lit up with excitement, so fantastic.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for that feedback. So that early risk assessment is just trying to screen out candidates that may not be suitable for law enforcement early on in the process. Like I said, our recruiters have been focusing on a lot of various recruitment events. We had an internship program that I believe the mayor is going to highlight at the State of the City address. But it was a lot, it went, when you like put together a plan on paper and you're like, okay, we just need to pilot something, but we really want to do an internship program to get college students excited about going into government. And we piloted it with 5 positions, and we had some of the departments that had funding for other positions as well, and they participated. So we went through 10 weeks, and we did a lunch and learn every week where a department got to highlight what they do in their department. And we had an intern that worked for Jamie Thomas in the finance department that is a data analytics wizard. Then he did a culminating project where he presented some data about a project that he worked on in finance. And now he's being shared between Kent Hayes' department and HR's department this year to help us with some of our data analytics. In addition, we ended up hiring 2 of those interns full time after that process. So I will say we brainstormed and we wanted to pilot and have it be as successful as possible, and I think it exceeded all of our expectations. So we're really excited for what this year has in store and looking to expand that program in the future. And then for our police force growth, so we recruited and promoted 22 police officers and hired 5 lateral officers, and those are experienced officers that just lateral over to us, go through preliminary training with us, and they're able to hit the ground running a little bit faster than having to go through the academy. Let's see. We have also been focusing on health and safety. We've been implementing a hearing conservation program, and we've had some voluntary L&I consultations on site. I've been working with the chair of our safety committee, who works for our Public Works Maintenance and Operations Department, to revitalize some work that our safety committee is doing. We are working on an app, a panic button app for all of our field workers where they can initiate a call to 911 if they're having an incident out in the field and they need help immediately. That will notify city administration as well. And then we had to also transition to a new occupational medicine healthcare provider. We do have a staff member that is on the Ready Coalition. That's Brianna Winters, and she is reports back to our department on how that is going. And then, as you're aware, as my presentation from the last meeting, that we do work on the contract reconciliation for King County District Court in a local agreement and completed the municipal court study. We've been trying to digitize things and just reduce the amount of paper in our office. That's an ongoing issue for human resources. And then just looking at the risk management side, so this is just an overview of the history from 2014 until 2024 year to date for property claims submitted in the blue and then liability claims submitted in the orange. And so liability claims are considered those third-party claims for damages, meaning they are filed against the city and allege wrongdoing in some way by the city.
Yes, Councilmember Yolanda Trout.
Councilmember, could you turn your mic on?
Yes, where you spoke about going paperless, and you mentioned something about the police department. I heard something like that at our Regional Law and Justice Committee, and they were asking if people had data dashboards where they collect all that information, so if any time any of us had to go and research and look for data, is this part of that you're going to be implementing as well, if you're collecting all that information?
So when I spoke to what we've digitized is we have a lengthy background packet that all of our officers would have to either pick up or we would have to mail, and so that would delay the time for them being able to complete that. So we've moved all of that online so they complete that digitally.
Right, I heard that, but are you going to do a dashboard collecting all that data?
So we have a dashboard that shows like police management where a candidate is in the process, but it's an internal dashboard. We're not collecting anything off of their background information to track in any way. I hope that answers
The
your
reason
question.
why I ask is because also King County Prosecutor Attorney, he has such a data, and he collects all the data from every city. And he sent me our city data, from that dashboard. And I was just wondering if we are ever going to go to do something like that instead of me getting it from King County.
Yeah, maybe in the essence of time, if
I'll
we
sit
could
down and talk to you about that.
talk offline, and
Okay.
maybe we could talk with the chief because maybe it's data that he's tracking and not human resources.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So I know I'm just going to breeze over court because we
Sorry.
just had the presentation. And I believe I did discuss the Auburn case filings, but when we're looking at 2023 filings, I think I gave this report out verbally last time, but there you're able to see that total count. And then we do provide some administrative support to community court and the resource center. So this is just a snapshot of the report that King County District Court does, where we're comparing all of the different community courts that are in the King County District Court system. And so as you can see, Auburn has a significant amount of visits for our resource center, and we also have quite a bit of graduations as well as new participants and current active participants in our community court system. And for the work that we do to support that, we have 764 public defense screenings that Haley in our office has completed. And then we also help organize scheduling the work crew. So the work crew members did 402 hours of work crew service for the city. That's it.
So do we have any questions for Director Martinson? Yes, Councilmember Kate Baldwin.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mine, I think, goes back to earlier in the session when we were looking at the differences between unaffiliated staff and affiliated staff. And so I was curious with the employee relations, because I remember back, a year or two ago, I think Chief had done one of his presentations on how investigations flow through PD. Where does that overlap between affiliated or unaffiliated in terms of HR when it comes to employee relations? Does that go departmentally, or is it different depending on the contract?
Yeah, so for unaffiliated staff, they're non-union, so at-will employees. And so typically, if there is an employee complaint filed with HR, that we would look into the matter and then determine where it's best handled. It just, I hate saying it depends, but it just kind of depends on the nature of the complaint. For all unaffiliated employees, as well as all of our union employees, if it's a complaint of harassment or discrimination, we take the lead on that. In addition, our complaint process, we do what's called pre-defense, and that's through our risk insurance pool, so that makes them aware of an incident that's occurred. And then they'll assign a special employment attorney that'll help advise us and or the mayor and or the department head through that process. So I guess it just kind of depends if it's a low-level employee dispute. Typically that would be handled by the immediate supervisor. But if it's an allegation of misconduct, harassment, discrimination, a major policy violation, then it's probably going to include HR as well.
Okay, and that would be for either affiliated or unaffiliated? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. I'm going to ask that if we have any more questions, that we reserve that in person after this meeting. We're running up against the next presentation, and then we have our regular council meeting. So unless you had any final words, Director Martinson,
No, just thank you for the opportunity.
we appreciate you being here tonight. Next on the agenda, we're going to have a department overview for innovation and technology by Director Travis. Thank you for being here. I love it, bearing gifts. Thank you.
All right. All right, good evening, council, Deputy Mayor. For the record, my name is David Travis. I'm the Director of Innovation and Technology for the city. With me, I brought Ashley with me, who will kind of go through, fortunately, I'm sure he would have liked to stay back, just like the HR director allowed her team to, but he's going to present with me, and we're going to go through this together. So just a quick run through about me, because some of you haven't seen me before in a presentation. I've been with the city for about 5 years. I've been doing IT stuff for about 27 years, 25 years of government experience. I'm going to go a little fast, if that's okay, because I know we're running up against time. So, okay, if you want me to slow down, just let me know.
Thank you.
So Ashley's been with the city. He's got 21 years of experience in IT. He's been with the city for about 18 years. One of the cool thing about IT is we've got people on our team we have 3 people who've been with the city for over 20 years. So a lot of knowledge within our IT group. So some of you have seen this slide before. It's kind of what we try to strive for in IT. We are definitely a trusted team of technologists. We kind of pride ourselves around the things we know, how we're educated, our backgrounds, and kind of the experiences that we all have and have brought into our IT team. So that's kind of what we use as our guiding principle. And when I talk about trusted, we're a little bit different in the city, kind of like with PD, we go through, and legal, we go through an FBI background process to become an IT professional in the city. The reason for that is because we have access to criminal data, the data that we protect and keep in our systems. That data is bound by some of the CJIS security laws, so everybody in IT is level 4 CJIS certified, which just means we've gone through a testing process that's renewed every year for certification of what we know about practices and how to handle that data. Some of us, not all of us, in IT have gone through polygraphs. It's an experience. We no longer do that for most of our IT people, but some people that are on the team have definitely gone through it already. So kind of give you an understanding of when we say trusted, we've been through some stuff. So IT, we're in the city, we're 24/7. We have people that are around all the time. Our normal operating hours within the city are 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's kind of what we cover for our day-to-day, so we strive for that, but we always have somebody available, and Ashley will kind of talk about that a little bit. We support over 600 employees, and the reason there's more employees than you see like in the city is because we also provide services for the city of Algona and the city of Pacific. Our interlocal agreements with them have different levels of services that we provide. Within IT, we have some disciplines that we kind of form. Each one of these, and I won't go over all of them, they're kind of different aspects of IT. So either it's from asset management, it's for customer service. Each one of these boxes that you see effectively are their own kind of educational path that we can dive into deeper with each member of the team. So some of the slides you'll see will kind of outline which pieces of these disciplines that we're going to talk about, and Ashley will go through a couple of them as well. But holistically, this is kind of the full breadth of IT disciplines that we deal with. So our core strategies in IT, and you've seen it probably with some of the devices we've given you, is we try to be as mobile as possible. That's not only to give our employees the ability to work from home, but it's mainly so that we can give our employees the ability to work from anywhere they need to work to get the work of the city done. You think about any type of disaster where we have to move people around, or we have power outages, we need to move people around. It's not, when we talk about mobility, it's not just about working from home, it's about the ability for our staff to work from anywhere in the world if needed. The other thing that we focus on is productivity. So all the service contracts that we enter into, it's about how to provide systems, applications, and pieces of software to make our team more productive. And as you've seen with some of the other presentations, there's a lot of stuff going on in the city, and our team is there to help try to give them the tools to make it easier or feel easier, even though it's daunting. Like you look at the stuff we talked about earlier with HR and their applications. At the core of all this is security. We all love security. We'll talk a little bit more about it here in a little bit. Some of you who've been on the council for a while know that we talk about security. It's kind of like who we are. It's in our DNA. We write on here security always, but in reality we abide by a thing where we trust no one. It's called zero It's zero trust security. We like to spin it as a little bit nicer sounding than we don't trust anybody, but at the end of the day, IT revolves around this idea that we take away all the trust and then we give people back the things that they actually need, and it's the way that we protect the assets of the city. So our team as a whole, we kind of break it up into a couple different sections that we'll talk about a little more in depth here in a little bit when I hand it over to Ashley. We've got the infrastructure team, which is kind of that group that just handles all the big infrastructure pieces, how we're connected and those kind of things. And then we break another team out in the customer success team. Customer success to us is the group that delivers the end product. They're the ones that are there holding, standing by your side when you have a problem, and making sure that the things that we promise are being delivered in a timely and efficient manner. Again, if I'm going too fast, just let me know. I'm looking at that clock. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Ashley. He's going to go through customer success and then kind of jump in a little bit of projects, and then I'll take back over when we get to infrastructure.
Cool. All right, any questions? Moving along? All right, great. All right, so like David said, this is kind of one of the sides of that org chart. We just went over our customer success team. It's really broken into kind of two groups, maybe three, depending on how we spin this, and I'll talk about it a little bit. But the first one is our BSA group, which is Business Systems Analyst. There's three of those folks. And essentially what their kind of function is they've been assigned to a department in the city. So like John in the back over there, he's assigned to HR and other departments. But his job is going to be very specific to that liaison between IT and that department, understanding who they are, what they use, what processes they have, all of those things, diving into the details and kind of being their frontline support. So we have three of those, and these are just some of the things that they do. But for the most part, it's that proactive approach to being that front line for people like you guys. You guys have a BSA. Here they are. So Chrissy handles those departments up there. So hopefully you're familiar with Chrissy because she helps support you guys. Jonathan in the back we just talked about. So he's got Public Works, DI, and HR. And then Noah handles the other three up there. That's how we split those up. Those are kind of split up mainly by sizes of departments. And quite frankly, just some of the things that they're doing on a day-to-day basis. So back to the slide again a little bit. If we kind of highlight some things in red there, hopefully that's okay to see. That's essentially what the BSAs are focused on a daily basis. So if we take any one of those, like the one on the far left, business value, like I mentioned, they're not just going to sit by and wait for something to come in. They're looking at the value that they're bringing and also the value coming in. So, is the application we're using, is it the right application? Is that process that you guys are running taking 5 too many steps and wasting a whole day? Let's look at some of those things. So those are the ones that they're looking at. The other side of that house is the support specialist group. They're going to be more of the front line of what David talked about with we're a 24/7 group. So if someone comes in to the office that needs help, if someone calls, if someone emails, however they get a hold of us, that's probably who you're dealing with first, which is, I had something, it's not working, I need help now. That's what that group is. Kind of that break fix, more reactive type of work where the BSA is going to be on the solutions and proactive type of work. What we've done is we've kind of paired those two groups up. So again, Chrissy is the BSA for those top departments. Mark is her teammate. Kobe, Jonathan, and so forth and so on. That's not all they do, but that's probably their primary focus, so they can really, both of them can get really familiar with the departments. It just helps support much easier. And then the last group down there at the bottom, Matthew and Tristan, they handle Algona Pacific like we talked about, but they're also doing triaging of tickets that we'll get into a little bit. So when you do come in, a triage request versus I have a computer, it's not working, versus it'd be really cool if I had a second computer, those get handled differently, and they work through that. So those ones highlighted there are kind of what the support specialist function is on a daily basis. That kind of bottom middle one, service desk, as well, we'll jump into that. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the service desk, whether you're calling your cell phone company and you get put in line or you've experienced it before. But we kind of the service desk is an application, it is a thing, but it's also kind of a mindset that we have on how we handle things coming in and how things are going out. We use that to track everything. So just some kind of rough numbers. You can see here we're processing a little over 10,400 requests per year. You can see how they're broken up there. 67% are incidents. Incident meaning, again, I had something, it's no longer working, versus a service, I don't have something and I would like something, or information, I just have a question. And so that's kind of how those are broken out. But, you know, those are all averages based off of what's coming into us. That's nothing that's kind of generated automatically. Our triage team and kind of our sports specialist group work off of these service level agreements. So if it's a VIP person, and we define that as, you know, mayor, director, assistant director, administrative assistants, people that are on that front line, or if it's a department priority. So if something comes in and we say, look, this has just got to get done today, we can flag it as a department, that's essentially a 1 business day turnaround. That doesn't always mean we're going to get it done that same business day, especially if it comes in at 3:45 p.m., but we're going to do our best to make it a 1 business day. Incident, 3 business day, information, 3 business, service, 14 business. And again, those are not how long it's going to take us to do it. That's not how long it's take to respond. But that's our goal, that every single time we have an incident, it's no more than 3 business days. And then the last one down there is just simply a note that our support specialist team, which is 5 folks, they rotate through a after-hours on-call schedule. And so it's essentially a week-long schedule. Every 5 weeks, you're on the schedule. Their job is going to make sure that outside that 7 to 5 business hours that David talked about, there is still someone to get a hold of. So they are still monitoring email, phone, service desk, and all that kind of stuff. That can be a lot. So what we do is we have every single morning, our entire team gets together, whether it's virtually or in person. Mondays and Fridays, our entire group is always on site together. And we will literally do this up. We will stand up, I'll get in the same room, and we'll go through this. And we look at our priorities based off of what I just said in our service level agreements. And we'll make sure that everyone's on the same page and there is no roadblocks. If David is working on a VIP priority and he needs help, okay, who can help? So we do that through every single ticket. This meeting we've got down to about 15 minutes. So first thing every morning, 15 minutes, whole team, get our priorities, get moving. We send out surveys at the end of those tickets that are closed in the service desk. And we look for a couple things. One of them, did we meet our service level agreements? As of right now, we're hovering about 95% of the time we are meeting those service level agreements. And people are giving us a score of 98% of satisfaction. We don't get a response every ticket, but those that we do, this is what we're getting.
We have a question from Councilmember Tracy Tan.
I'll make it quick because I know we're watching time right now. What ticket system do we use here in the city?
It's called Manage Engine,
Okay.
Service Desk Plus.
Okay, thanks.
This is just an example. This came in from Yolanda. You may know her. But this is just an example of what the survey looks like. And you can add some comments at the bottom, which is...
There's no reason why we highlighted the bottom at all.
Okay, so that's kind of customer success, kind of in a quick nutshell. Projects, so same chart here. Projects, you can see there's some different areas down there that the project manager and team is focused on. This is a similar view that I just showed, but this is for our kind of our Kanban of what projects look like, how many we have in flight, where they are, how many are done, all that kind of stuff. We meet on this at least on a weekly basis for, again, what's been done, what's coming up, what roadblocks do you have. We've kind of experimented with different project methodologies. One of them we're doing right now is we're calling it a tiger team, where we grab a few people from each one of those divisions I just said, and hey, we got a project, let's get this thing done in 3 weeks. You guys are dedicated to that. So we're trying some different things to make this look like there's more things done on the right than there is waiting on us. And last group, which I think Dave was going to kick it back off again.
Yeah, so let's go back. So infrastructure and cybersecurity, one of the things I forgot to talk about at the beginning of this that I normally tell the council is, normally we don't give a lot of details when it comes to things that we do, just from a security standpoint, especially in an open public meeting. So some things you may hear us say like, that's a great question, but we unfortunately cannot answer that in this. The other thing I handed these out to you. They're a great resource that we've teamed up with one of our partners to kind of print and kind of give a City of Auburn logo down at the bottom. But they're a great resource. We hand them out for different events that IT does. And they just kind of go through the different things that people are plagued with when it comes to cybersecurity. So it's a good resource to have around and yeah, keep. I think some council may have a couple of them sitting around now. So. But infrastructure and cybersecurity. So again, these are kind of the core of in our disciplines. It's infrastructure. It's the security risks that we're assessing.
Director Travis, one
Yes.
more question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You're going to get there eventually. I know that you are. So I'm going to wait until you finish this part because it does have to do with cybersecurity.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I feel like that's a challenge. I don't know. All right, here we go. Let's see what I can do. So in infrastructure, we kind of deal with these 5 questions. It's the how is everything connected? That's everything from our fiber backbone to is it Wi-Fi and where that Wi-Fi lands. Is it secure Wi-Fi? Is it public Wi-Fi, which everybody in the city has access to as long as you're within range of one of our antennas? How is everything managed? We have a lot of assets. One of those slides we said there's over 3,000 assets that we're managing. How are all those things managed? So the infrastructure team is really core is looking at these 5 questions. Earlier I talked about trust, right? How is everything trusted? Well, now you know the secret is we don't trust anything, so everything kind of gets built back up. We have CGIS data, we have personal data, we have citizen data. How do we store that data? So the infrastructure team is constantly looking at, is the data encrypted at rest? Is it encrypted in transit? I won't go into the long presentation of recovery, but on the next slide I'll show you. The biggest thing we talk about from an infrastructure and cybersecurity is how are we going to restore when it happens? It's not no longer a scenario of is it going to? It's when it happens, what are we going to do? And our plans are fairly robust on how we're going to recover. So just a quick synopsis of kind of what that looks like in our environment. So we back up all data in the data center 6 times a day. So we kind of think about that rotation. We have 4 copies of that in multiple locations. So that data is dispersed, moved, copied, backed up, moved around the area. We have primary data centers that have exact replicas of their exact hardware in other locations in the area, being very vague. And if needed, in our test scenarios, we've recovered the entire city in 30 minutes or less. Now, if we need to recover, typically our recovery scenarios are around somebody deleted something, we need to recover a thing. So those are secondary things, so they take seconds for us to recover. Usually it's us figuring out what it is they think they lost, and we go through and recover it. But holistically, the entire infrastructure, we spend a lot of time, thanks to council and supporting us from funding, kudos to the budget, supporting us financially. We're able to get some of these things. In the last 5 years, we've done a lot of work to ensure that our recoverability is on point when it comes to city operations. So when we talk about cybersecurity, we've all seen it, the rise in ransomware, unfortunately the government entities are getting hit the most. You've got the medical facilities getting hit the most. They're going after patient records, and one of the big ones that was last year was the MGM Caesars Palace breach that happened very easily. It was human-to-human interaction, and somebody convinced somebody in IT to give them keys to the world. That poor individual, I can imagine what they're going through in life. Billions of dollars lost in that breach. So it's all about how do we recover? How do we stop these things fast? I threw artificial intelligence in here. We're going to talk a little bit about it here in a second. But we get that all the time. Do you guys use artificial intelligence? How is artificial intelligence used in the city? A lot of tools and technologies that are just being put in place today are coming with different forms of cybersecurity. or artificial intelligence. So we look at cybersecurity as an onion. Think of it as layers. You peel on that onion, you got all kinds of layers. What we're trying to do is reduce the threat footprint of something that can be hacked in the city. So multiple ways to defend certain things. We have physical things, we have virtual things, and just think of it as that onion. So whenever you're thinking about, if somebody asks you in the public, how are you guys defending the city, it's just give them that vision of an onion. Because I think most people can understand the layers of how we do that. So I talked about artificial intelligence. The reason we use artificial intelligence from a security apparatus within the city, I won't go into details of what we use or how we use it holistically, but it's the ability for us to find something fast. We're talking milliseconds fast. If something happens to hit a device, we need to be able to see that. Humans can't think or react fast enough to stop this stuff. So within 10 seconds, we could lose the entire city if we weren't using these types of apparatus within our environment. And they're designed around understanding patterns of behavior, understanding what you normally do when you come into the environment. You know, you normally come around 8, you log into something, you do something, and then when that's abnormal, you know, something happens that's not normal to you, it starts looking at it a little bit differently and going, hey, we may have somebody that's been compromised or something like that. So the way that we, again, back to that zero trust, we just kick people off the network. Like if we detect something that's abnormal, you just get kicked off the network, and then we ask for forgiveness or explain it later, because the approach is for every millisecond that you wait, you know, we could lose half the infrastructure. That's it. You talked fast.
Yes.
Did I hit the question?
Almost.
Okay.
Okay, so obviously, I mean, we worry about phishing, smishing, and whatnot. Are our employees here in the city, are they trained on a frequent basis about how dangerous that could be to our inner networks?
We, as part of insurance requirements and cybersecurity requirements, we have to train our employees at least minimum once a year.
Okay.
So there's training stuff that goes out. We also have a different scenario where if somebody clicks on something, and a lot of people have probably seen this already, you click on something and it will ask you, are you sure? It gives you that one little extra. And then what it's doing in that time when you clicked on it, the artificial intelligence behind the scenes is going out and looking at what's at the end point of that link and going, hey, this is bad, or we've detected that this was bad in the past, this is bad. And it's asking you, are you sure? Because what typically happens, it's the quick clickers, right? There's like, oh, yeah, I need this, and you don't know what it is, and then before you know it, we're done. So we have systems in place to help you answer questions, too, along the way. And it'll come up, you don't have to answer this, but usually it'll say, hey, it wasn't a good link.
Sure.
Yeah.
One more, unless you have one. Go ahead.
Yes. Councilmember Kate Baldwin.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. First, thank you guys both and your teams for the work you do. You also have comparable volumes of just making sure tickets are done and processed and things are working for everybody. I would say probably my big reminders for other council members would be, you know, good tenets of nobody actually wants you to buy them gift cards, so ignore anything that's asking you to buy a gift card. Never use a public network, have a long, complicated password, and change it regularly. And don't do any type of social media surveys that reveal your password hints or tips or tricks or any of that. So that's just my general, also being in IT and being very familiar with all of the things that you're doing on your day-to-day basis, which look great by numbers. That's my safety 2 cents for everyone. Thank you.
One last question, Councilmember Tracy Taylor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Following up, I know that we have pretty good parameters when it comes to some of the social media networks or social media platforms here in the city. Are we ever considering putting limitations on that surrounding like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and whatnot, just because of cybersecurity risks there?
It's a good question. The problem is it's always changing. So we want freedom of speech, obviously, to prevail. I think that question might be better suited for administration who handles the social media stuff in the city. But from a cybersecurity standpoint, the social media groups are also doing major cybersecurity initiatives. So it's like, I think together we should
Sure. I guess to rephrase that question is all it takes is one click on one link on a social media platform to completely destroy a city, a company, or whatnot too. I guess I ask that because I've seen situations in that sense where it just takes one click and it's completely destroyed somebody and their network. So that's why I'm asking, is the city possibly looking at putting parameters around that? That's all.
Not from our group.
We will have one more question from Councilmember.
It's not a question, it's just a comment. Thank you for your presentation today. And I do love your staff, because anytime I have an issue, they're right there to take care of me and fix it immediately. Or if it's right here, if we need help, they come over and take care of us immediately. So thank you. You have a wonderful staff.
Thank you. And since we're 5 minutes into the next, 6 minutes into the next meeting, and having concluded this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
And then Jason is ready if you guys want to start the next meeting, or if you need a break, it's up to
Does
you
anybody
guys.
need? Okay, let's, well, we are ready. Everybody's. Okay, thank you. All right. We will call to order the City Council meeting for February 20th, 2024, 7 p.m. We will begin with our land acknowledgement. We'd like to acknowledge the federally recognized Muckleshoot Indian Tribe, the ancestral keepers of the land we are gathered on today. We thank them for their immense contribution to our state and local history, culture, economy, and identity as Washingtonians. So the public participation, the Auburn City Council is scheduled for Tuesday, February 20th, and will be in person and virtually. The participation link is available on our agenda and can be viewed subsequently on youtube.com. To listen to the meeting by phone or Zoom, please call the number below or click the link that is again on our agenda. Next, I would ask for anyone who can to please stand and join me in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So next, I would ask for a roll call.
Deputy Mayor Brown,
Here.
Councilmember Amir, Councilmember Baldwin,
Here?
Councilmember Rakes,
Here.
Councilmember Clinton Taylor,
Here.
Councilmember Tracy Taylor,
Here?
Councilmember Trout Manuel.
Here.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is for appointments. And today we have an appointment for Junior City Council. City Council to approve the appointment of Nnamdi Ametu to Auburn Junior City Council for a 2-year term expiring August 31st, 2026. Do we have a motion? Thank you. Councilmember Kate Baldwin.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I move to approve the appointment of Nnamdi Ametu to Auburn Junior City Council for a 2-year term to expire August 31st, 2026.
Councilmember Manuel.
I'll second that, Mayor. I mean, Deputy Mayor.
I don't have that raised yet, so thank you. So we have a motion and a second recommending the appointment of Nnamdi Ametu to the Auburn Junior City Council for a 2-year term. Any other discussion? Yes, Councilmember Kate Baldwin.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just wanted to add that this young individual would be coming into the Auburn Junior City Council as a student from Auburn Riverside, as someone who is also math club president at their school, and near and dear to my heart has also been working at McDonald's, which is something that I also did in high school. So having been there, and with this person being very interested in learning about how to become more involved within the community and work in policy development and creation, I think they'd be a great addition to Auburn Junior City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Baldwin. Do we have any more comments? Seeing none, I will move to the vote. All those in favor of the motion to appoint Nnamdi Ametu to Auburn Junior City Council, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, so ordered. Next on the agenda is, do we have any agenda modifications? No, we do not. Thank you very much. This is the citizen input part of our agenda, and specifically a public hearing concerning right of vacation for vacation number VAC 23-0001. So we'll open this public hearing up. Is there anybody that wants to comment on this vacation? Please go to the lectern and state your name, address, and your
Virginia
testimony.
Haugen, 2503 R Street Southeast, Auburn. Is this the one on 108th?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I have friends and relatives who live up there, and I am so glad that I came to the meeting and was able to access the packet and find out exactly where it is. I was quite surprised when someone told me about that quite a while ago, last summer actually, and my only concern is that in the case of utilities, we might be losing some trees up there, and right here I have something about environment, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other comments? Are there any other comments? Seeing no other comments, we will close the hearing. Next, this is the place on the agenda where the public is invited to speak to the City Council on any issue. The public can participate in person or submit written comments in advance. Participants can submit written comments via mail, fax, or email. All written comments must be received prior to 5 p.m. on the day of the scheduled meeting and must be 350 words or less. Please mail written comments to City of Auburn. Attention, Sean Campbell, City Clerk, 25 West Main Street, Auburn, 98001. Please fax written comments to attention Sean Campbell, City Clerk, fax number 253-804-3116. Email written comments to publiccomments@auburnwa.gov. If any individual requires an accommodation to allow for remote oral comment, please, because of a difficulty attending a meeting of the governing body, the city requests notice of the need to accommodate by 5 p.m. on the day of the scheduled meeting. Participants can request an accommodation to be able to provide remote oral comment by contacting the city clerk's office in person by phone 253-931-3039 or email to publiccomment@auburnwa.gov. Hannah, do we have have we received any comments?
Yes, Deputy Mayor, we received one written comment. It was from a Todd Hunt, resident of Auburn, and Todd expressed concerns regarding the Palestinians in Gaza and urges council to support a ceasefire, and that email was forwarded to all of you, and no requests for remote oral comment were received.
Thank you very much. So we will proceed to the audience. Is there anyone who would like to make public comment? Yes, please come forward. Good to see you tonight.
That has to do with the environment. And,
Yeah,
the-
please state your
oh,
name.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Virginia Haugen, 2503 R Street Southeast, Auburn. I'm having a little allergy attack from the floor. That's carpet. I'd like to thank Councilmember Tracy Taylor for her comments about cybersecurity. I got myself in a jam because I hit the wrong thing, and that's recently. And I want to tell you, getting things straightened out at 2 banks was not fun, but I finally took care of it today. I was on the councils twice, and I kept copies of emails. I don't know that I should have done that, but I felt that in order to make sure that I understood what I was saying, emails that I was doing to people, I said, you know, I don't want to get myself in trouble as a council member, but when you're doing it at home and FaceTime, chat boxes, I'm just as concerned as she is. I know how much damage it can do. I know that I have a young relative who got in a lot of trouble just with friends because of things that were going on in text messages, emails, whatnot. And I want to thank, again, this is a terribly important issue. The other one is about 108th. And I gave copies from the Seattle Times, something I just stumbled on. And it's the first time I've ever read anything like that in a newspaper. I hope that you people will take it seriously because I know what the loss of our trees all around Auburn have done to this city. And you want to talk about global warming? You should be in my backyard when it's warm out because I have a fear of waking up tomorrow morning and hearing someone else cut down a tree. We've lost 5 trees just in my immediate neighborhood in the last 2 years. And it definitely heats things up in my backyard. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else wishing to make public comment? Seeing no one else approaching the microphone, public comment item is concluded. Do we have any correspondence? Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is the Council Ad Hoc Committee reports. Council Ad Hoc Committee chairs may report on the status of their ad hoc council committee progress on assigned tasks or may give their recommendation to the city council, if any. And we have one ad hoc item today. That's the Finance Ad Hoc Committee chaired by Chair Baldwin.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The Council Ad Hoc Finance Committee, consisting of Councilmember Amer and myself, reviewed one set of claims vouchers for those dated February 14th, 2024, for today. We reviewed 135 pages of claims vouchers, including 4 wire transfers for a total of approximately $4.87 million. The committee also reviewed one set of payroll vouchers for the period covering February 1st, 2024 to February 14th, 2024, totaling approximately $2.83 million, with that amount including payroll check numbers 539-565 through 539-568, as well as electronic deposits. All questions, and actually I don't believe we had any in this cycle. The vouchers looked good, and we would recommend that council approve them.
Thank you very much, Chair Baldwin. Proceeding to Unfinished business, we have none. New business, I don't believe we have any new business.
Sorry, Deputy Mayor, you
Yes.
skipped over consent agenda.
Thank you very much. Exactly. We have the consent agenda up for consideration. Do we have a motion concerning the consent agenda? Yes. Tracy Taylor, council member.
I motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Yes. Council member Amir.
I second.
Thank you. Council member Tracy Taylor, the floor is yours.
Sounds good. All right. We are approving the consent agenda for the minutes of February 5th, 2024 in our special city council meeting, minutes of February 5th, 2024 regular city council meeting, claims vouchers, and that was vouchers listed dated February 14th, 2024, including numbers 47, 49, 65 through 47, 50, 96 in the amount of $4,057,471.52 and 4 wire transfers in the amount of $809,422.62. Also, payroll check numbers 539565 through 539568 in the amount of $81,607.62, an electronic deposit transmission in the amount of $2,744,877.81 for a grand total of $2,826,485.43 for the period covering February 1st, 2024 through February 14th, 2024. That's a lot of numbers.
It is, it certainly is. So we have a motion and a second on the floor concerning the consent agenda. Are there any more comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the vote. All those in favor of the consent agenda approving it, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, so ordered. Now we can proceed to past new business. And thank you for pulling us back on the reins there a little bit. We have a motion for the ordinance of 6927, an ordinance establishing the local sales and use tax rate for local revitalization financing for 2024. Do we have a motion? Yes. Councilmember Kate Baldwin.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I would move to approve ordinance number 6927.
Do we have a second? Councilmember Rakes.
I'll second that, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Baldwin, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Ordinance number 6927 is one that we saw at our last study session, and Director Thomas presented to us that this is going to levy a 0.0133% up to $250,000 amount against the state's portion of sales tax, which helps us to pay the debt service on local revitalization financing bonds, which were originally issued by the city in 2010 and refunded in 2020. This is something that we're able to do on an annual basis as a tax credit that's available to the city for up to 25 years. And for this year in 2024, that would be our 15th year of that cycle. So
thank you.
That's all.
Do we have any questions or comments in addition? Right, seeing none. Motion on the floor is passage of ordinance number 6927. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, so ordered. Next up is ordinance number 6929, an ordinance vacating the right-of-way located within a portion of 108th Avenue Southeast that lies south of Lee Hill Road within the city of Auburn. Do we have a motion? Yes, Councilmember Tracy Taylor.
I move to approve ordinance 6929.
Do we have a second? Yes, Councilmember Trout Manuel.
I'll second that, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Tracy Taylor, would you speak to your motion?
You bet. This ordinance vacates the right-of-way located within a portion of 108th Avenue Southeast that lies south of Lee Hill Road. It's subject to conditions outlined in the ordinance.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting ordinance number 6929, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, so ordered. Next up is ordinance number 6930, an ordinance amending the Auburn City Code, ACC chapters 3.53, 3.54, and 3.62 related to the administration of city taxes. Do we have a motion? Yes, Councilmember Baldwin.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I would move to approve ordinance 6930.
Do we have a second? Yes, Councilmember Amir.
I second.
All right. So would you speak to your motion, please, Councilmember?
Certainly would. With ordinance number 6930, this will amend the city's business and occupation tax code and administrative provisions to introduce additional clarity around the intent and applicability of square foot tax for businesses maintaining warehouse space within the city of Auburn. So since the rollout of the B&O tax code, we do occasionally find that there's been a need to continue to clarify the language to make sure that we can apply that fairly and well within the city. And so this is in that same space. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? We'll proceed to the vote. All those in favor of adopting ordinance number 6930, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, so ordered. I guess it better hit this. All right. Next up, under ordinances, we have ordinance number 6932 up for our consideration. This is an ordinance transferring a city telecommunications franchise from Sprint Communications Company LP as a T-Mobile subsidiary to Sprint Communications Company LP as a Cogent subsidiary. Do we have a motion? Yes, Councilmember Tracy Taylor.
I motion to approve ordinance 6932.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Yes, Councilmember Clinton Taylor.
I second that motion.
Thank you. Councilmember Tracy Taylor, speak to your motion, please.
The ordinance transfers the franchise agreement number FRN 21-0003 for Sprint Communications Company LP, a wholly owned subsidiary of T-Mobile, to Sprint Communications Company LP, a wholly owned subsidiary of Cogent.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments or questions? We'll move to a vote. All in favor of adopting ordinance number 6932, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, so ordered. We've come to the place on the agenda for council member reports. And at this time, the council members may report on significant items associated with their appointed positions on federal, state, regional, and local organizations. So I will first ask Councilmember Rakes if she has a report tonight.
I don't have a report tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Clinton Taylor.
No report, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Tracy Taylor.
I have a couple of things. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. One, I am excited to report back that my application to the Traffic Safety Commission is now sitting in front of Governor Inslee, so we're waiting to hear back whether or not that will happen. On February 7th, I attended the Action Days of the Association of Washington Cities Conference in Olympia, learning more about the advocacy for our city with fellow council members Amir and Trout Manuel, Deputy Mayor Brown, and Clinton Taylor, and Councilmember Rakes. On February 10th, I was fortunate to attend the Lakota chapter of the National Society of Daughters of the American Revolution, where Mayor Backus received the Women of History Award, along with Councilmember Rakes and Deputy Mayor Brown. On February 13th, I attended the Valley Regional Fire Authority meeting where we heard that the Board of Governance passed some improvements to one of the ladder trucks and their bucket. Their bucket was in need of repair, so we passed that. And on the 13th of February, it was a long day, I also attended the Seattle Animal Shelter Foundation board meeting where I'm getting ready to roll off as the vice president and sit on the, the governance committee and the Devo committee as well.
Good.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Yes. Councilmember Trout Manuel, do you have a report?
I have a few. On February 6th, I also was at the AWC, and I had to sneak off to go hold a Zoom meeting with the Regional Water Quality Committee, and we ended up having to vote a new chair, and Conrad Lee from Ocean Shores is our new chair. Then we went on into our regular meeting, and all they did is, because there's a lot of new council members sitting on this position, they just went over all the things that they're going to be bringing to us throughout the whole year. They gave us a list of things that every month that we meet, we have to be up on. So they gave us all the literature that's for us to be able to read up and be ready to vote on. Then on February 13th, I was at a Zoom meeting with Domestic Violence Task Force. This is where we heard from our King County prosecutor attorneys, Lisa Manson, and she talked about I took this away that kind of caught me off guard, is that because they're so backed up with cases and they're trying to play catch up, they're going to start dropping the lesser cases, and there's a lot of cases that they're going to be dropping because they just can't seem to meet the demands. And so I'm going to keep an eye on that because just to find out. I also got the statistics of how many cases are open in our county and how many are definitely need to be processed. Then on the same day, I met with the HELO, the NALEO board, which is consists of over 1,080 members, Hispanic individuals, and they welcomed me onto the board. So it was kind of nice to hear everything that they're doing right now this year. They're really concentrating on membership, and that's basically what we're doing on HELO as well. We're focusing on membership and then going to DC and meeting our Congress members that deal with the border and also with DACA. So that was kind of an interesting meeting. Then I met with HELO on February 15th, and we basically just went over what we're going to be doing in CCC when we go to National Leagues of Cities. There's a lot of fun things we're going to be doing, but this year, National Leagues of Cities is going to do something different. They're going to break out in 2 different deep dive conversations. Before, they would have all different workshops for us to go to, but this time they're doing 2 big deep dives, and they're going to have different tables with the staff and also with some of our legislative officials there to talk to us about what's going on in the Capitol. So that should be a lot of fun to hear from each of those individuals. Then we are going to do something fun that I recommended, that after we do all of these meetings all day long, if they can find a place where we can go and do karaoke. So they're going to be doing that for us just to have a fun night before we leave. And that's about where I'm at.
Thank you very much. Next, Councilmember Baldwin.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I think if anybody heard me do karaoke, they would not vote for me again. As far as my participation in organizations, I did have the pleasure to attend the February Police Advisory Committee meeting, and then I also attended the recent Ready Coalition meeting, and we'll give a report out at our next study session. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Amir.
I don't do karaoke too, so it's good for me. I was being honored to be judge for Miss Auburn and Miss Auburn teen competition. It was a long day, like 15 hours. I think it was opening eyes for me, this scholarship program. They empower women. I was part of an interview. Believe me, at my job, I will interview some technical people. If this lady will apply in job, they did so amazing, they probably get hired. So I'm encourage everybody to look and be part of this organization. For the girls, it's like it was new for me to get to know this amazing Miss Auburn and Miss Auburn team. So I'll be attending next year, but not as a judge.
Right. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Seeing no further business, I have no report tonight. So, I reported enough. So seeing no other business before the council, this meeting is adjourned.